Morning Movers. Today we're going to be talking about a really important concept that we've kind of touched on in a lot of previous conversations and a lot of previous group calls. But what we're talking about today kind of picks up from where we left off last week, and that's where we're going to start. For those of you that weren't on the call last week or didn't get a chance to watch the replay, the big thing that we kept coming back to, the topic of conversation for the week, was perspective. So why is perspective important? Well, perspective is important because in the game of golf is simply a game of who can miss the best. Everything to one degree or another is some kind of micro failure. We're going to be off by a little bit all the time. The best players in the world, they can simply miss closer to the hole. They can miss in better positions, which allows them to play better. So we want to understand that the power of perspective is really in our own mind. It's how we look at the world. It's, if you hit a good shot and you catch a bad break, it bounces off the cart path, goes in the trees, that isn't you. That was just what happened. That was the result. And so last week we spent a lot of time differentiating the process from the result. The focus here is on the process, not on the result. The reason we don't focus on the result so much when we're in the thick of things is because we need to be able to stick with the process. If we get too results driven, we will compromise the process to skip corners and just get ahead. And this is very common in all endeavors in life, that it becomes very easy to say, hey, I'm doing well. Why don't I just skip the fundamentals and just go ahead and try to speed up the result? But a lot of times, the result won't come unless you forget about it and follow the process. Now, this is true in both the short term and the long term, but eventually the result is very important because it's the driving factor behind the actions that we take. We follow the process to get there, but eventually we do have to focus on the result. And that brings up today's big topic word. Persistence. Now, the reason that persistence is important is because persistence is what allows us to achieve the result so long as we're persistent with the process. So as we're going through our day, our week, our month, our year, this journey that we're on, we need to remember to keep everything into perspective. Where we are is different than where other people in the group, in the community are. It's different than where other players around the world are. Our journey is unique to us, and it's important to keep that perspective so that we can follow the process to get the result. But even if we have the correct perspective, if you're not persistent and you don't follow through with the process, then you won't get the result. So what we're going to talk about today is how to stay persistent with the process and keep it all into perspective to be able to achieve the result. So of course this leads us to one of my favorite topics, which is all about habits and routines. Because in order to stay persistent, we need to create habits and routines out of the process to be able to achieve the result. We don't want to have to wake up every morning re-motivating ourselves to get started. We want it to just be an automatic behavior, just like brushing our teeth. We wake up and it's simply something that we do. So that being said, let's break this down to give you a better understanding of how I formulate my routines and how I suggest and encourage you to as well. And to do that, we're going to take a small step back. Okay? PFMWM. What does this stand for? Well, if you've been in this community for any length of time, you know that these are the 5 pillars that we practice every day as part of our continuing lifestyle. What we're talking about are mindset, wellness, mobility, fitness, and then golf performance. Now, as a reminder, the thing that all of us are looking for is this one right here, the top of the pyramid, the performance. This is ultimately how we score. If we want better scores on the golf course, we need to perform better. But as we can see, performance is at the top of the pyramid, which means, sure, we could spend our time working on specific performance-related drills, but if we don't have the foundation underneath it, then our performance is going to cap out. We're only going to be able to become so good. We're going to be limited by ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and maybe even the equipment that we're swinging, but that's a different conversation for a different day. So if we need to be persistent in our process to get the result, there are certain things, what we call non-negotiables, that we need to do every day to improve this foundation. So at least when I look at my morning routine, I've designed it in such a way to achieve some of these foundational processes. Okay, now we're going to break that down. We're going to put a little dashed line right on through here. And this will make sense in just a moment. So when we're talking about morning routines, these are the things that we want to do every day, because if we do them, it moves the needle forward on our journey. In my own world, the practice that I have every morning for my mindset comes in the form of breath work and journaling. Now, we're not going to get into the specific kinds of breath work or anything like that, but just note that every morning, one of the first things that I do is I go through a breath work session. Could be 3 to 5 minutes, it could be 10 to 30 minutes, depends on the day. And then typically when I'm done with my breath work, I will go through and do some journaling. Now, depending on the day, sometimes before or after, I'll throw in affirmations. This is something that's both in my morning and my evening routines, but just note that it's very important in the morning to get into a good mindset. And we can do that through breath work, affirmations, journaling, internal self-reflection. Now, if we go up the step a little bit, wellness. Wellness is how we take care of ourselves. It's our nutrition, our hydration, and our recovery. Now, in the morning, you've already recovered. You just woke up from sleeping. So hopefully you had a rested night. Now, I personally don't eat breakfast in the morning. I intermittent fast until lunch. So that kind of handles my personal nutrition aspect. If you follow a different plan or program with your eating, by all means follow that. But the one thing that I consistently do, and I encourage you to do as well if you're not, is to drink water first thing in the morning, preferably before any kind of coffee or tea or stimulants or even any food like that. It's really important that we drink H2O after waking up, because in the morning, you've been asleep for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours. You haven't drank anything. You're dehydrated. Your body has been sweating underneath the covers all night, even if it's at a little level, and you lose water through your breath, the water vapor. So in this dehydrated state, we need to give our body some of that water to heal itself from the inside out, both physically and emotionally. Your brain is a lot of water. Your muscles are a lot of water. We have to flush it. We also have to get the systems moving so that we can get the toxins out of our body. So very important there as well. And then from the mobility perspective, this one everybody should know about by now is the power warm-up. And there's a reason why I tell everybody to do the power warm-up within an hour of waking up every morning. Because it gets your body moving, it gets your brain grooving, it gets everything fired up. So this is consistently what my morning routine looks like, is I have these elements in my morning every morning. I'm going to wake up, I typically drink my glass of water, I'll do some breath work and or affirmations to start, and then I'll finish that with some journaling to reflect on what just happened, and then I get my body actually moving around. Power warm-up. And this is, again, every morning, it's just part of the routine. Now, we put this little dashed line right here because on top of this pyramid, we have fitness and we have performance. And these are things that aren't necessarily every single day. So I don't need to have them as part of my routine, but they are things that are every single week. For example, in fitness, I will typically do 2 to 3 days a week of speed training, using something like super speed sticks, or I'll do high intensity interval training, some kind of a workout. It's not every day though, because if we come back down to wellness, important part of wellness is recovery. And if you over exercise or overtrain, you won't get the most out of it. And then finally at the top here, where we all want to be, is going out and actually practicing or playing. This is spending time on the range. This is time in the bedroom, doing putting drills, chipping ping pong balls, going out to play, taking a lesson, anything that has to do with swinging the club and hopefully scoring lower. That's our performance. Now, where we come full circle in our pursuit of persistence in following the process to get the result is we have to remember that every day we go through our non-negotiables. And by doing that, by strengthening the foundation, then everything higher up takes care of itself. Okay, this is why we don't have to do it every day. It's because you can perform better on the golf course simply by doing breathwork every morning. You can improve your fitness simply by doing your power warm-up every morning. You can improve your cognitive ability on the course by drinking water. See, everything down below the dash is this foundation, is how we improve everything above it. Okay? Mindset improves your wellness, wellness improves mobility, mobility improves fitness, fitness improves performance, and so forth. But to stay persistent in our pursuit of the process to get the result, we need to create a routine of our non-negotiables to enhance the end result. And that is why today we're talking about persistence. So your goal today is to take some time, if you haven't done so already, and write out your morning routine in a visual way like I just did here. Make sure that you're covering all your bases so that you can continue to improve your performance, but do so in a way that you can stay persistent. One piece at a time, one layer of the habit and routine at a time, and then over time, by being persistent with your process, you will achieve the result. I'll catch you all later. Move better, play better.